Hey friends, welcome to the Empowered Homes Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to grow strong families by connecting church and home. Today in studio, I've got three folks on our children's ministry staff here at Kingsland. I'm super pumped to have a conversation. We're going to talk about partnering with parents and what that actually means, what that actually looks like. And so before we jump in, we'll go around the table. We'll go this way. Introduce yourself, what you do, your role, your family, and then what's your favorite thing about children's ministry?
All right, awesome. I'm Lyndsey Dottavio. I'm the Children's Associate here at Kingsland at Central Campus. And I've been on staff here for about 6 months. My husband's Aaron. I have two elementary age children. Dominic is 9 in 4th grade. Abigail is 7 and in 1st grade. My favorite thing about children's ministry and working with kids is actually working with the families and connecting with them, getting to know them, getting to know their kids, and kind of what brings joy to their lives.
Very good.
That's awesome. My name is James DeWitt. I am the North Campus Kids Pastor. I have 4 daughters. I've been married to my wife for almost 20 years. And we have 4 girls. They're actually out of children's ministry now. I don't have any kids in children's ministry anymore, which is crazy to think about. But my favorite thing about children's ministry, I actually love just being able to be creative. That's one of the things that I think I get to do a lot more of that than I got to do in student ministry. So I love that.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Kina Cockroft, and I'm the Director of Children's Ministry at the North Campus. And I have 5 boys that are almost not in any children's ministry whatsoever. Most of them are above 20, and I have one last 17-year-old that's in student ministry. My favorite thing about children's ministry is equipping the leaders to equip the families, and just seeing that connection of making a classroom work well that impacts the family and the child.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you guys in studio to talk about this. James, you have the shirt on.
Yeah.
So let's just show this beauty. You're on the B team. James, what does that mean to be on the B team?
Man, that means that everything that I do, I have to filter through the idea that this is really about the parents, right? Like we know, and we say this at Kingsland a lot, that the parent is the primary faith trainer. And so for us, a lot of times, even though we're trained, even though we've got degrees, a lot of times parents look at us and they think that we're the professional, if you will. But the truth is, Scripture is very clear, right? That they are the one that have the most important position for their kid. Because their kid, and they're going to be with their kid, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So when I think about being on the B team, I think, okay, what is this program? What is this resource? What is everything that we're doing? Can I make that specifically for the parent to make sure that they get the win?
Yeah, the church is the B team, parents are the A team, but we don't want to just be like, all right, parents, figure it out. Like it seems almost like as ministry leaders, like we want to just be like, all right, parents, it's your job, figure it out. Like it takes pressure off of us, but actually us making that statement puts more pressure on us. Because if they're the A team, we got to resource and equip them to lead at home. And that's what I love about what we get to do. And that's what I want to talk about today is, before we get into, partnering with parents and what that looks like, I think an easy kind of conversation we could have that'll tee us up for it, and we'll go this way. All 3 of you will answer. Kina, we'll start with you.
Okay.
What are some challenges that we have when it comes to partnering with parents, especially with children's ministry?
Well, I think that a huge challenge is just getting that quick moment of connection with the parent and letting them know that as they're quickly trying to leave church, that it doesn't stop at the end of church, that this is something that we carry through the week, and getting that moment, that one-on-one time with them to let them know that we do have things available, conversation cards for the table or 3-minute discipleship moments for the family, those kind of things that we want to equip them with to carry home.
Yeah.
And so getting that time to make that connection, that they understand that it's not stopping at the end of service, but it's continuing on.
That's good. James?
I think one of the things that kind of I was alluding to earlier is the idea that a lot of parents just don't think they have what it takes. And so trying to help them to understand, like, you are the only parent. I'm not the parent. And so you, like, just helping them to get that through their mind, that it's not about them having all this crazy knowledge, but that they take that role, So I think that's the most difficult thing. Because once they own it, then
Yeah.
then you can actually work with it.
Yeah. Lyndsey?
Yeah, and I think speaking to what James said, I think that's a challenge with a lot of parents today is they think we don't have the biblical knowledge to answer these questions our kids may have. But I think it's okay for parents to say, hey, I don't know that answer, but let's look into God's word and find it together. Right? I think that's even more impactful to a child to get into the word with their parent or grown up at home and let's find it together.
Yeah.
Let's find the answer together.
That's powerful. I think, a lot of parents, especially with that elementary age, because I'm right in the middle. I got a 5th grade, 3rd grade, and a kindergarten. There's times where like culture and stuff happens at school or questions that they have, like you just feel overwhelmed. And instead of going to God's word together, sometimes we just it's easier for me to go, James, fix my kid, and so that's kind of the default. But our heart and desire is to pull parents into that and teach them so that they can lead and do all these things. And so I want to start with the negative, because a lot of times when we talk about ministry with parents, we can get real negative. If there's ministry leaders in here right now listening, they're probably going, I'm going through this situation with this parent. But partnering with parents is an amazing thing. And let's talk about what that actually looks like. James, we'll start with you.
Okay.
What does it actually look like for you, day to day, week to week, to actually partner with parents in your ministry?
I think one of the big things is just being in a relationship with those parents. Because I think a lot of times we get into the nitty gritty of, we got the programs that we're trying to run, all that kind of stuff, but we've got to know our people, because parents, anytime you're around parents, the number one thing they want to talk about is their kids, right? And as they're sharing who their kid is, that gives you opportunity to also kind of disciple them as a parent, so that way they can disciple their kid. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times that's really what it is. It's just being in that relationship with a family, with a parent, hearing about their kid, what their kid's going through, and then just in that conversation, being able to talk with them a little bit about, hey, have you guys talked about doing this maybe? Or have you maybe looked into this book or this course or whatever to help kind of train them through that?
So just for practical sense, does that happen in the hallway? Does that happen like, hey, we're going to grab lunch? Like when does that relationship in conversation actually happen?
It's yes and yes, right? It is those moments, like Kina was saying, like those brief moments that you can grab them in the hallway. But I think it's also being intentional about going to lunch, going to coffee, just knowing your people, knowing their families.
Yeah, I think that's huge. One of the things that one of my mentors told me a long time ago is like, make sure you're walking slowly through the crowd. And I think a lot of times, especially with so many moving parts and kids, we can get moving fast because we got to go to the next task. But, this person is talking to me, this parent has pulled me in the hallway, whatever, if I'm trying to get goldfish to the next room or whatever, like this can wait just a few minutes. And for leaders to know, like, that conversation's more important than whatever the small task that you're trying to accomplish. But too often we trade off that small task for that important conversation. Kina, what does it look like for you in your ministry to actually partner with parents?
Well, it starts with listening. They have a lot to say, and each family is going through something different in a different stage at a different time, and they really want to be seen and they really want to be heard. And so I think it really starts with asking the questions of, what do you think you should do? How do you feel about that? And going from there and just taking in account where they're at and where they're starting, and then equipping them with small things. I think we get caught up in the large, big moments, but it's in the small, mundane of the week that we can really disciple our children, and that really changes their lives. And so if I can help a family there, then that's where I want to start.
That's really good. Lyndsey, what does it look like practically to actually partner with parents for your ministry?
I think I have a little bit of a different perspective because I'm actually in it, right? My kids are in elementary school, and then James and Kina have the wisdom of being a little bit beyond that. So for me, it's connecting with those families from experiences that I'm experiencing as well, and things that have helped me and helped shape our family life. For instance, if we're struggling with our 4th grader or something about, I don't know, trying to be cool at school and all the smack talking and all that sort of thing. And it's saying, hey, like this podcast really helped me. Have you tried this out? Have you tried this book out? And, it's a conversation where they might have some things that really help them too. Then we can share that resource with other parents.
Yeah.
I think I think children's ministry is a community
That's good.
of families that are trying to work together to lead their kids to find God and find Jesus in their own faith journees.
That's really good. And yeah, with community, if you got something.
No, I was just
so
saying,
community I think is a huge one, and building in with our parents that culture too is we've said it here on the podcast with different things, but I know we say it at Kingsland too. Is like, this is not, you're not outsourcing the spiritual development of your kids. Like, and so because that's a big part of our DNA, the community, like I know families that have sent me stuff of like, hey, we're struggling with this, and they're sending me, hey, I found this thing. And so it becomes when parents own that, I'm the primary faith trainer, then they're not looking for the church to fix or they're looking for, how do I do this? Instead of coming to you with all these problems of like, hey, fix my kid, what do you have to help me with this? That's a huge shift in mentality, but community is a big part, and not doing it alone is key.
I was going to give a practical, because I was just thinking about like when those moments of trying to connect, right? And one of the things that I purposely do is that I try to make sure I'm there for checkout, right? So when the parent is going to be there and they're coming to get their kid, I try my best to be at that door so that I can connect with the parent, right? It's just connecting with the kid because I'm saying goodbye to them, have a great week, all that kind of stuff. But it's also face to face. They're seeing me, huge. I'm seeing them, right? And so that way we can begin that relationship. So if your kids pastor out there, that's one of the things you can think about is like, how can I just get face to face with these people?
Yeah.
Right.
And you get to see them, and a lot of times I'm thinking the negative of like, I got to know whose parents this kid is, but you're saying like, no, I want to know, and not in a negative way.
Right.
That's awesome. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say the opposite of that, right? Spectrum of, oh man, I want to get that parent to talk to them about what happened. It's about sharing that like little snippet of encouragement that you saw from their kid. What parent doesn't love to hear something awesome about their kid, right? And that will establish that relationship. And you can connect with the kid about that too. I know that we have a lot of kids in our ministry, but it's just the little things of, hey, like Simon did a really great job of reading out of the Bible that today, or Susie, man, I loved how she helped Elaine come off the playground. She was really helpful. I think it's just the little things. And we know if we have kids in school that parent-teacher conferences, why they can be scary. We love to hear all the good things about our kids. So I think that's important.
When is it appropriate to tell like the bad stuff? Because I go back and forth. A lot of times, like parents pick up their kids, and it's like, let me tell you what your kid did today, and like, what's the balance there? I think we have to communicate if there's issues, but at the same time, is it worth that conversation?
I
Kina?
kind of feel like everything's a teachable moment. It doesn't have to be negative or positive. It can just be what it is. And it's a great teachable moment. And I think it's important as leaders in the hallway that we make sure that they understand that they are not bad, or they shouldn't feel shame, that we are walking together in whatever event may have occurred. And there's such good teachable moments, we wouldn't want to lose it. That it's a great time to talk and to figure things out together. Yeah,
that's good. It's really good. So for us, partnering with parents, I heard listening, I heard making connections, being a community. For us to say, parents, you're the A team, we're the B team, that just sounds like a lot of work that just went into this. So this is not an easy thing for us to do, to really own the fact that, yes, your primary role is to help shepherd and lead the kids, but you can't do that apart from the parents, because the longevity and long term, we want to build lifelong followers of Jesus, and to do that, we have to work with the parents and make sure the parents are on board with everything. So, as we transition, like thinking about that, what are tangible things that y'all have that you can say, okay, this is a win in ministry. There's Sundays where we go home, we're exhausted. It was just a hard day. But like, what are the wins that you're like, okay, this happened. Okay, I can put this on the scoreboard as a win. What are some wins that y'all have? Who wants to go first? Let you fight.
I can step in there.
Okay.
I was actually thinking about this because this happened a couple of weeks ago. So I just started with our preteen group over at the North Campus, and I'm actually leading our Wednesday night stuff. And that's why I say I'm at the door kind of checking families out. But one of the things that was a huge win was we actually came back to Central Campus last week for a Restore Night, our prayer night, and some of the kids from North came. Right. And I had this kid running down the hall. Now, our parents right behind him. Right. I had this girl run down the hall and give me a hug who's been in my 4th and 5th grade program at the North Campus. Right. To me, that's a win. Right. Because the parent is seeing, okay, my kid like really cares about this person. This person must like really have done something in their life. Right. So then it gives me the opportunity to, like kind of we were saying a minute ago, like brag on the kid a little bit, talk about him a little bit, but then connect again with that parent. So I think that's like, those are the kind of the wins that I look for, the avenues that I can get into to being, again, it's all about influence, right? So being able to have an avenue into a relationship with a parent.
Yeah. Knowing, just for my kids, like knowing that they want to hang out with their ministry leaders, like it's a cool thing. We see them in the hallway, and like, it's, as a parent, like just to see that, like, oh, they care about my kid. Like, and my kid sees them as someone that has influence, and like that's a huge one. That's a good win. Yeah. Who wants to go next? Wins.
I can go next.
Okay.
For me, I love to see the multiplication. So if you connect with the child and that child connects with the family and you get that connection with them, then they want to invite their friends to come. And then you get to meet another family and make that connection and work with those relationships and then meet another family. And it's such a win for me to see the new faces come in and just get to see homes transform. It's just amazing.
Multiplication. Yeah, if you're creating an atmosphere where kids want to be there and they're excited to be there and they want to bring their friends, like that's
it's
awesome.
A huge win. It's such good
and
stuff.
for parents to we've had, I know my wife is amazing at this of inviting other families, but we've had so many like non-believers come because their friends of our kids show up and like it's the first time they've ever been in a church, and it just it's a great opportunity. That's an easy win for sure.
Easy win.
Yeah,
I love seeing the wins that we equip parents with, where they can have that win at home.
Yeah.
I think that, for instance, we just had our 1st grade Bible presentation, and our team came up with the idea of having little blessing cards. And so the parents wrote a blessing out to their 1st grader for them to put into their Bible. And so that gives that ownership back to the family. Like, we give them the Bible, yes, but then the parents are taking ownership of walking that line with their kids. And, back to school things, all the little things that we equip families with that are small, teachable moments at home, I think are really a big deal.
Yeah, easy wins. And I think a lot of times we're in the urgent, like you guys have to find volunteers and always looking for different stuff, but to really write down, if there's a ministry leader listening, like I think it's valuable for us to write down the wins for our ministry, because if we don't write them down, if we don't know the wins, then we're just aimlessly going through. But then we celebrate the wins too. What gets celebrated gets repeated. We've heard that over and over. So with us, as we kind of are wrapping up and looking at those ministry leaders, looking at I think we could spend a lot of time talking about all the things we wish parents would do. Like, I think a lot of times we can get frustrated with parents, like, I can't believe they're doing blank. So here's your opportunity. This was not on the list of questions. This is not on the list of questions that I gave you on purpose and put you on the spot. But if you can get in front of every single parent and you can be knee to knee, eye to eye, what is maybe one or two things you're like, you have to know this. I want you to know this thing, because this will help you. This will, or something maybe you learned and you're like, this is what I learned. This is what, I wish I could do differently or whatever. And so I'm still stalling so you can think. I'm going to keep talking. But Lyndsey, you got yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think one thing I would love to tell parents is that our church leadership and the volunteers working in the classroom and families coming in, bringing their kids in, is this is a partnership. This isn't a drop off, go learn about Jesus. And I think that we've talked about this already today, but we need to know what things about your child will help them succeed in this classroom. And I think that goes along with a lot of maybe some behavior issues sometimes. Let's make it a time where this child will feel successful in the room, and then that will translate to wins at home with that. I think that we want to get to know the families. You know, I know that everyone's super busy on Wednesday nights or Sunday mornings or whenever you have your church happenings at your particular church, but it's important for us to be face-to-face with parents or grown-ups or caretakers or whomever, because, I mean, like we were talking about, it's a community, and we want to make sure that that we're loving on the whole family unit, not just on the child.
Yeah, partnership. That's good. That's good.
I think if I'm looking at all parents, I think the thing that I would say, and I've said this actually a million times, is set a rhythm. Set a rhythm. Like even this morning, I'm laughing about it in my mind because we had our our rhythm is that in the mornings we get together, we have breakfast together. A lot of times I'll make breakfast so that I kind of have a captive audience is what I like to say, and then I'll be able to have like a devotion that I'll lead them through. Right. Well, this morning everybody kind of came down and they were all kind of biting at each other, you know, and the purpose is, and this is actually one of the resources I know that we have on Empowered Homes is, you know, the purpose of the mornings is to encourage and prepare for purpose for the day. And so I had to stop, and I actually had to say that to them, right? Because they're all, I mean, it was driving me nuts. They were all just bickering with each other. And I'm like, hey, the reason that we're sitting down right now is to remind ourselves of what this day is supposed to be about. How are we going to love people to Jesus?
Yeah.
You know? And so I would say set the rhythm. Like that's the thing. Like have some kind of rhythm for your family, whether it's the mornings like us or it's the evenings, whatever.
Yeah.
Set a rhythm.
Set a rhythm, know your rhythm, know what works for your family.
Yep.
Because mornings for us is not.
A lot of people don't know that.
No morning, which is great. You know, but evenings for us is a huge win. So set a rhythm. That's good. Kina, you got all the parents in front of you.
All the parents. Yeah. Well, I think if I had a chance to tell parents that to be patient and to be kind to themselves as parents, we like to think that we've got it all figured out and we have all the answers, and we don't. And frankly, life happens in the small moments. And so if you want to disciple your child, you do not have to be a theologian. You just have to have a desire for Jesus in your life. And so using an ambulance or fire truck that's going down the road to talk about prayer and how we pray for people we don't even know, and allowing big questions that the kids have to be able to ask and say, you know, we're going to lovingly find that answer together because I don't have it. And so taking those moments to disciple so that your children grow to be adults that look to Jesus first. I think that's such an opportunity that we forget, that we play music in the car when we could take that opportunity to talk, or at breakfast or at dinner or across the bar or in the kitchen, you know, across the island. Those just small moments are so important to the family.
Yeah, with leveraging those goes with the rhythms. And I think what you said too was be nice to yourself. I think, you know, parent guilt is a big thing. You know, we feel like we blow it most of the time, and parents feel the pressure of all of those. And I hope if there's a parent listening that they're not feeling that at all, but to be encouraged to know, like, you may not have all the answers. You may not have everything figured out. It's okay. Be kind to yourself, because understanding who you are in Christ first, and being completely solid on that, will just communicate and model for your kids what it looks like to love Jesus. And so you guys, thanks so much for your time today. I know we want to have a conversation about how this actually plays itself out, because I think a lot of times with ministry leaders, we're like, yes, we want to partner with parents, but Like, you guys are doing it, and it's awesome, and I'm so grateful for you. But if you are listening and you're a leader and you want more information on anything that we talked about today, you can find it on empoweredhomes.org, but you can also email us, leaders@empoweredhomes.org. If you're a parent and you're just listening, it's like, man, I want to get to talk more about all this stuff. You can also email us at info@empoweredhomes.org. Guys, thanks so much for your time, and just thanks for what you do for our kids. It's really awesome. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.